All right, welcome back to the Inboxing Podcast. The Inboxing Podcast is a podcast about email marketing. I'm Hillenberg, your host. Tonight we're going to be hosting a very special guest, and that is Nikki Elbaz. Nikki is a email marketer, and she's done emails. She's actually a fantastic copywriter. She's actually the head of email for copy hackers, which is pretty amazing. She'll be joining us in a few minutes. Just a few introduction myself. So Inboxing is a brand new podcast where we talk about email marketing every single week. It's starting out as we're recording the episodes live on Facebook and on Instagram, and hopefully coming soon to LinkedIn and maybe some other platforms. The whole point is really to all our guests are going to be from the email marketing community. And we're going to be talking about email marketing, about best practices, about really just for any marketer coming to listen. It's just find in it like just really tons and tons of value about how to do email marketing well. What are the tricks, or at least what's the what works, and what things they should focus on in order to get the most out of their email marketing. And just a little bit more about Nikki. Every week we're gonna have be having new different guests. Last week we had Emily McGuire from Flourish and Grit. She was fantastic. She was our first guest. Tonight, this is our second episode. We're gonna be having Nikki Elbaz again. And every guest will bring their own perspective, their own story. Things they like to use, and I'm really curious to hear from Nikki what kind of things she'd like to hear. If you have questions or comments you'd like me to cover, please ask in the comments. I'm happy to help. And for other people that are joining from my Facebook page. I just finished, I just was on an episode of Make Your Mark. We covered a lot of great content, and I welcome you to take a look at that. It was really productive. It was a lot of great things came out of that. But in this podcast, I think we're going to be diving a lot deeper into email, about different questions people might have, different techniques in terms of automations, in terms of segmentation, in terms of personalization, great things that we're seeing in the email world, changes that we're seeing in the email world, new trends, and things are always changing. So it's really important to stay ahead of things and know about the new trends and what's going on and what you can use in your business to really leverage email in a really effective way. And that's really what that's what this podcast is all about. It's really what Hillenberg Email Marketing is all about. It's really about helping businesses leverage email in the best way possible and getting the most out of their email. I'd be happy to answer questions if anyone wants to step up with a question. Something that came out of the latest podcast was we touched on video marketing, video email marketing, which is just a brand new thing. There's a lot of new things coming out. Video is one of them because it really offers you that one-to-one personal touch. Right when someone reads an email, so it really could have been written by anyone. But when somebody, if you were an email to Hillenberg sending you a video back, you see me, you hear me, I'm talking to you. It's as super personal as you can get. So it's really tremendously powerful. And there's a bunch of different platforms that are doing it. One that we mentioned in the last one is called Bonjoro. But that's something I encourage you to look out and explore, just the different ways that you can automate. You can automate videos into automations. That just it sounds like the coolest thing I can imagine. And you can, as one might imagine, if it looks like someone sent you a personal video, then it definitely increases your chances of opening and watching. So it's really just a great opportunity. Yeah, Nikki should be here like any minute, so I just want to give her a really warm welcome by saying, Nikki is a powerhouse copywriter. I know other way to say it, but she's written email for some top brands, including Shopify Plus, including Doodle, among others. And she teaches, email marketing. She's got her own platform, NikkiElbaz.com, where she sells all kinds of playbooks and tools to help email marketers do their job better. So hopefully she'll be showing up real soon. But anyone who has any questions for her or for me, please leave in the comments. And if you like this program, make sure you're subscribed to know when we're going live. And just until Nikki shows up, I'm happy to take questions and comments if anyone has any. And yeah, and just waiting here for Nikki. Just to keep this interesting, I guess I'll just keep talking about something I just mentioned. Really, one of the major advantages of email is that really it's a one-to-one platform that you could really leverage. That it's one person's talking to you at a time. All right, well, it looks like we're ready to get started. So without any further ado, Inboxing is proud to present our special guest of the evening, Nikki Elbaz. Nikki, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here. Finally meet you.
Yeah, we've been talking on LinkedIn. We've been talking, I don't know, I think just mostly LinkedIn.
Yes.
But it's finally sort of in the flesh. It's funny how Zooming and virtual conferencing has become like you kind of remember it like a face-to-face.
Yes. Life these days.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people are getting vaccinated, so hopefully we're turning a corner, and we might have real. I feel like we're ready for a real conference. I think a lot of industries are excited to have a real conference, maybe by the summer.
Cool, nice. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, no, I hope so. We can only hope. We just anyway, let's jump right into it, huh? Should we?
Yes.
All right. So let's start with the bad stuff. All right. What do you find most upsetting in your inbox? What do you see in your inbox that really just makes you cringe?
The bad stuff. I love it.
Okay. It's like everything. It's like the news. Dog. Man bites dog gets a lot more press than dog bites man.
Much more exciting. Yes, totally. Okay, so there's two kinds of bad stuff that I see in my inbox. There's the stuff that makes me upset as a marketer, like you're doing things wrong. So I get very like up in arms, holier than thou kind of thing, which is obviously very mature of me. And then there's the actual upset, like the stuff where people are just like, don't do that. Like that's just wrong on a non-marketing perspective. Just like as humans, like we should know better. So that's like things like, I don't know, when people will cold email you with like a response to something. No, you're not responding to me. You're not actually replying to anything that I said. Like, just don't do that. Like, it's just sleazy. Just don't. Or like the oops, broken links, like, oh, and the apologies and all the like anything fake that's not real, that you're just trying to get people's attention. Those things just don't do them. So that's that, like the actual upset stuff. And then like as a marketer, just seeing when people do things that aren't ineffective, like when it's like sale, and all it is like a flyer style email that's like 70% off, ends today, and then like it's 50% off the next week, and then it's 70% off again. And like, why would people like actually trust you or open or anything like that? So that's obviously super annoying. And then another huge one is like when people are scared to tell you what they want, like buy my course, check out the sales page. Even something like download my ebook, just like being very weak around your call to action and just kind of expecting people to know what you want from them. That's obviously like a big mistake that happens often because we're very close to the product. Like we think that if we talk about it, then people will automatically want it. And we know that people need like prompts and pushes to go do the thing that you want them to do. So that's something that happens often. But because people don't realize it's a problem, and it really, like, you'll be so much more effective if you just like give some guidance and some direction and some clarity. That can be super helpful. So yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes the best calls to action are really just like buy now. Like
and it can be like you get like a lot of like new copywriters giving that a lot of flack. Like buy now, there's no benefit there. There's no, like emotional outcome, which is true. You definitely need to be spelling out the benefits in your email. And there are cases, like often cases where you want them to be more about like, change your life, although don't be weird like that, because most products don't change your life. But there's definitely something to be said of just like the clarity, especially at the end of a sequence, like at the end of a sale. There's buy now gives no question of what you want them to do. So there's definitely basis for that. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like I saw, actually, there was an article, I don't remember who put it out, but like it was like a top 20 examples of good CTAs, and it was really all like, there was nothing super fancy. There was no like deep dive into the emotion. It was all just like what you'd expect the follow-up to be, the headline and the sub pretext, and then buy now.
Yeah.
Or order now, or
I think there's like a big dichotomy between like nurturing emails and sales emails and where in the funnel the sales email happens and all these different things. And also there's a difference between a call to value and a call to action, which is, when like in the beginning, using the more emotional call to values can be super effective and does give that like emotional outcome, feel good kind of stuff. But at the end, when like the sale's ending in an hour, like you don't have time for that. Like you just need to get the people that are on the fence, like just go buy right now.
Right.
So yeah, there's a place for everything basically.
Yeah, and there really, really is. What was your biggest mistake in email marketing?
This is like really embarrassing. I did an affiliate launch once and I got the end date wrong. Like I thought it was ending on Sunday and it was really ending on Tuesday. So like all the emails were like, it's ending on Sunday. And I think I sent out like 2 cart close emails on Sunday and people responded and they're like, wait, what? I thought the sales page says it ends on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh. So it actually ended up being super fascinating for 2 reasons. Number one, it gave me more time to like send another email, which was totally not planned and absolutely was not supposed to happen. But it was basically what I did was I apologized and said like, I'm really sorry if I freaked you all out and you thought you had more time to make the decision, which apology emails get better open rates, kind of what we were talking about before with sleazy tactics. This was not sleazy. It was not on purpose, although a lot of people thought it was sleazy and me being sleazy, but it was not. But I basically what I said was like, I didn't plan these emails out. So basically, if you have questions, like email me and I'll tell you what I know about the course and if you're a good fit and that kind of thing. And it was really powerful because it really helped people get over their objections and see if it was a good fit. Like it really was a really smart email to do. And like, it was totally not planned. So it ended up being really interesting. And also just in terms of me launching my stuff, seeing like real live objections as they happen versus just like the ones that come in from the people that already are really interested. Like when you prompt people by asking, it gave some like really interesting responses and interesting things to think about. Like when I launched my own products, I actually was thinking of sharing them with the person that I was being an affiliate for. Like, you should know these are all the questions that people are, asking about your course, but I never ended up doing it, and I probably should. But yeah, so it was a total mistake, really embarrassing. But it ended up being really a very interesting test, which is like the thing that I love about email, and what I find so cool about email is that it's something that is so easy to test things and to like communicate with your audience and to talk through things. And like, it ended up being a positive experience, even though I made this mistake, because of the nature of the relationship of email and the testability of email and all that kind of thing. So it was super cool.
All right. Yeah, it's nice that they have such I mean, it's funny, but like I feel like most like oops emails, like they really do, they get, people love seeing that oops, like, so it usually ends up being really positive for companies. Oh, we sent out the kitten by accident, like oops.
Totally. Yeah, it's definitely super interesting, and I'm very grateful that our mistakes can like lead to better engagement. That's nice.
Right, it's so true. It's like, oh, what happened? Oh, yeah, I screwed up, but like, look, we made $1 million.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What is interesting is I feel like a different mistake that I made was I took testing a little too far, where I was mentoring a shortcast founder of like he created this shortcast app, and he was talking about all the different use cases, and he was trying to do cold outreach. And so one of the use cases that he was saying he wanted to do outreach for was newsletter creators, and just giving them this like other opportunity. Like, instead of just sending an email, you send a shortcast of the email, read the email, that's your shortcast. And just like you can track better engagement that way, in terms of like how many people actually listen versus when you just see an open, you don't know who actually reads it. So like he was talking about how like people that like testing things or want to like really track their engagement really well and those kinds of things, it's like a great fit for them. So I was like, hey, I want to try this. I want to test it. So I tested it a few times, and I feel like I was too like pushy about the testing, like, hey guys, I'm testing this new thing, and everyone kind of felt like guinea pigs. So I feel like that hurt my brand and my engagement, and just like it was a little like, hi, we're not your like test specimens. So yeah, that was like taking testing a little too far.
Too far. Yeah, you got to be careful. Like, to always keep treating your audience like people.
Like people. Yes.
Not like guinea pigs. Yeah. Not like you're the B group. Yay.
Yeah, that got a lot of people mad.
All right, now you can show up a little bit. So what are your biggest wins?
Okay. I feel like the biggest wins are always unexpected. Like when it's just like, wait, what? That happened? That's super cool. So my favorite is Doodle. I got a 64% increase in paid conversions from their onboarding campaign, which is like humongous. Like 64% increase in paid conversions. Like that's just amazing. Like I don't even know how that happened. It's super cool. So I was totally not expecting it, because we hadn't really gotten the results yet or whatever. We just like weren't like communicating them. And I basically read about it on a blog post, and I was just like, what? That's awesome. So that was really unexpected and really super fun. But another cool one was, again, like getting this feedback randomly, like when I wasn't expecting it. Like usually I'll be like, okay, let's go through the results. Let's do a postmortem. And both of these times were just like random pieces of feedback where I was totally not expecting it. So this guy who ran marketing at Sephora responded to a welcome email that I wrote, thinking it was the founder. And he's like, this is like the most awesome welcome email I've ever read. Like, I feel like your brand is the coolest ever. And I was just like, yeah, that's awesome. So that felt really cool.
It's from your personal welcome series?
No, for a client that I did.
Okay. Oh, really cool. But
founder. Yeah, so they took a screenshot and shared it in Slack. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But it was like unexpected timing in terms of just like getting this feedback randomly. So that was really fun.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was
All
cool.
right, so what are your top 5 tips for our audience out there?
Top 5 tips. Okay, my number 1 tip that I always tell everybody who's like, okay, how do I write emails? How do I learn about emails? All that kind of thing. Nobody likes it. Everybody hates this tip, but you should do it anyway. Subscribe to a million emails and just read them. Like, study them like it's your job, because it is your job. And just like in a bunch of, if you're in a certain industry, then, subscribe to emails in your industry, not just your competitors, but like if you're in e-commerce, read e-commerce emails. If you are a copywriter, then you need to subscribe to all the different kinds of, or an email marketer, all the different kinds of emails that your clients will be sending. And then for bonus points, subscribe to emails in different industries, just to kind of see what they're doing and see if you can adapt them for your industry. It's just immersive. Like, it's really the only way to really get like what's happening on the ground and what are some cool new things you can test and different ways to play around with different things. Like, it's just, it's just like the easiest, most immersive way. So that's tip number 1. But everyone's like, it's too overwhelming, which, yeah, it can be overwhelming, but like, set up your promotions tab so they don't come into your inbox and get mixed up. If you have a VA, you can help, like, that can help deal with all the inbox overload and all that kind of thing. There's definitely ways of dealing with the overwhelm, where you can still be learning. So yeah, that's tip number 1. How many emails do you subscribe to? Do you know?
How many?
Or
like
whatever.
Too many, like I tons, tons and tons.
That's awesome. It's just like, that's how you get inspiration, is, by, like, yes, you get inspiration from everything, from nature, from the world, from billboards, blah, blah, blah. But you also really get it from subscribing to emails and seeing what other marketers are doing. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Tip number 2 is research. Like, don't just go on gut and write emails. Like, you have to know your audience. You have to know what they want. You have to know why they care about you, why they care about your product. You can't deliver value if you don't know how they define value, and what you find valuable. And this is kind of like, in terms of, I guess this is another mistake, is when people are like scared to sell, because they feel like they're not giving value. Like, what do you mean I can't sell right away? I have to, the 3-to-1 nurturing rule. Like, I need to send 3 nurturing emails and then a sales email. For a lot of people, value is your product. Like, they signed up, especially if they signed up with a coupon, they want to buy your product. They don't care about your content. They want your product. So, that could be value for them, and give it to them. Why not? It's good for you. It's good for them. So the only way to really know like who they are, what they care about, is to do research. So customer interviews, customer surveys, data mining in like forums, just kind of like spying on them, kind of, and just seeing, like what they care about. That's definitely
right. Like seeing how they're seeing the people that are interacting with the Facebook page of your brand. Like, it's like, these are your people.
Yeah, and like reading support tickets is hugely informative. Like, what are their objections? Yeah, so super awesome. Good data. Yeah. What else? Okay, when you're actually writing, write 25 subject lines at least. So I resisted this for a really long time. Like, I did not want to. Like, no, I don't want to.
How long does that take you? You write 25.
That's the thing, is it doesn't take long. If you use formulas, if you just kind of like, if you use curiosity subject lines also, you like end up just kind of like skimming your email, that you always write your subject lines last. So once you read your email, you just kind of like pull pieces of it, and that gives you like a good 10, 15. So then you kind of have to do like another 10, which is what pushes you to be more creative and to use the formulas and to play around with that. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I really resisted it for a really long time. I guess because it always felt like the first one I came up with was good enough. Like, no, that's a good one. And then after writing a bunch, it was like, oh, I actually do come up with better ones after I come up with more.
Once you have 25, how do you then pick 2 or pick 1?
That's the really hard part. Yeah, that's where it's like, okay, let's A/B test this for no good reason. Like, we don't need the data on it. I just don't want to lose one of them. But
It
yeah,
reminds me of Phrasey. You know Phrasey?
no.
Oh, so Phrasey, they had some kind of platform, and you have to have a big enough list to make this worthwhile. But like basically, they would like use artificial intelligence to make like 25 subject lines out of your subject lines. Like you give them the
Wow,
keywords, and they'll put it together, and then they'll find the winning subject line out of all the everything they're trying.
that's super cool. I'll have to.
Crazy, yeah. They're a fun company. You can follow them. You'll enjoy their
That's super
emails and their
cool.
marketing.
Okay,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Will do. Get their email and subscribe.
for sure.
Yeah, super.
All right, are we there? All right. Now, what do you find the top pitfalls, things you have to watch out for, in your emails? When you're building emails, what should you be careful about?
Okay, so typically, a lot of companies look at their vanity metrics, like their open rates. That's like a huge one. Like, how are our opens doing? Where obviously that's important. If nobody's opening your emails, then they're not reading your emails. But it's not the most important KPI. Like, that's, what is the goal of your sequence? Why are you sending this? And are people doing that thing that you want them to do? I actually just read a stat today that your most important metric should be your list growth, which has nothing to do with anything. Because it's more overall kind of thing. But
it's a churn rate. That's a big one.
So there's things that actually matter versus that kind of more surface level engagement, which does matter, but it's not your end all be all. Even like your clicks can be deceiving, because you're like, oh, everyone's clicking, but are people buying? So that might not be an email problem. That might be an offer problem. It might be a landing page problem. It might be a product market fit problem. It could be another problem, but just because people are clicking in your emails doesn't mean that you're going to see success. So you have to pay attention to the whole funnel. So that's always fun. Like, diagnosing what's going wrong. So.
Yeah, and I think we've all like clicked in, a link, and whether for a school thing or for, something you had to get a link to do something, and then the landing page is like not responsive, and it's like impossible to navigate.
Yes. Especially nowadays with everybody like trying to play with text, like Zoom links and everything. It's just like, this isn't working.
Absolutely. Yeah, now like my daughter's school is using some kind of thing for parent teachers conferences, and my wife like called me in a panic, like, I didn't get the email, and it just went into the Mashov, and and so I look, and all the emails been going into spam.
Oh no.
Yeah, and my wife even she was in the platform and she's trying to get her email, and she's not getting anything, and I look and all those emails are in spam. She has to reset 3 times. Yeah. So it's important, that they know that these. I wonder how many other parents never got the invitation.
How are you doing this? Oh well.
So it did seem wide open, you're booking your times and stuff.
Just any time is available, all times. One parent shows up at parent-teacher conference. That's fun. Yeah.
Anything else to be worried about, in your...
So I mentioned this like a million times, being scared to sell. So I'm not going to belabor that point anymore.
But what do you mean by that? Like, you're saying, like, when people are just they're like beating around, just saying like, buy now or buy, like, here's our product, like, go for it. Like,
no, I don't think you have to do that every email, and I don't think you should. It kind of depends on your audience and your product and all that kind of thing. It's more that just kind of only sending nurturing emails and being scared to send sales emails. And I'm not immune to this, especially when you do see that people do unsubscribe after you do a sales sequence. But you kind of just have to keep focus on, why am I building an email list? Like, yes, it is to engage with people and have really cool conversations and learn from people. And it is awesome to have an email list. But at the end of the day, it's part of your job and it needs to make money. And if the people that can't handle you selling to them are unsubscribing, that's fine, and you can't. There needs to be that trade-off of like, why are you giving all this free content? Because you have stuff to sell. So yeah, it is on an email level, but it's also in like a bigger picture kind of level. Especially if you're not talking to marketers, people kind of get like very wary of like, what is this? Or they don't even understand, or, it gets interesting when it's different industries and people aren't used to being sold to or selling or any of that stuff. So yeah. But you see it. You see the mommy bloggers, they're selling their ebooks, they're selling their memberships, like there is, it works. There's a reason people, if they're signing up for your content, then they're interested in your product too. So, again, it's keeping that top of mind that what you have to offer as a paid product is also valuable for people. Just because people have to exchange money for what you're giving them doesn't mean you're not giving value. It could be value too if they have to pay for it. It's still valuable. So yeah,
for sure.
My soapbox. Yeah.
What are your favorite emails? Things that you saw that really like knocked your socks off.
Favorite emails. So these change like all the time. I'm like always switching my favorite people. But I've gotten into e-commerce emails lately, just because I feel like the D2C community is really interesting, and they are kind of testing new things and are just very passionate, and that shows up in their emails. So it's been fun to be following a few new brands. So Drizzly has fun emails. They're a little cheesy, but they're still fun. Dope, which is they're all food. I like food. They actually, I guess they're not all food.
I don't really know these. So Drizzly
is an awesome service. Like if you need to send a gift or anything, it's like drinks and beverages and stuff that I think they link up with like a local supplier. But it's just basically sending gifts or for yourself if you have a party. So it's like, like 1 day shipping or like same day or whatever. Anyway, so they're just fun. They are more of a celebratory kind of brand, so they have a lot of fun with their emails. And they just, so some of them are your typical e-commerce emails that are pretty boring, but a lot of them are just interesting and fun, and they test cool things. So yeah, Dope is a cookie dough brand, and they don't test tons, but there are a few things that are interesting. Like their flavor releases are cool. They will send from the founder occasionally and also from Dope, so it's just like interesting to see the differences of like what they send when and why, and plain text versus design, things like that. So it's just like interesting stuff to like study and see. So yeah. And then
make you think about like, are you on the A or the B? Like this when you see like.
So I did something really tricky, and I signed up to email lists with a bunch of different emails.
Yeah, see if you get the same email all the time.
So that's always fun to like see like, okay, which, and
yeah.
I've
gotten two subject lines, that's always.
And I'll be like, okay, I'm not clicking that one because that's a much worse subject line. I would never open it, but I will click this one. Like, let me make sure the data is accurate.
You want to skew the result.
That's exactly. Yeah, it's cool. But Boone to the Moon is craziness. I don't even know like who's running their email marketing program, but they are having way too much fun. Like they're nuts. Just like, I don't know. They do like all sorts of crazy
things. I don't get them. Like I followed them because I saw you posted about them, and I think I saw someone else post about them. So I was like, all right, what the hell is this Baboon to the Moon? And I like signed up, and like it's like these bears on the moon or baboons on the moon. Yeah, and they're selling bags for a lot of money.
I don't understand them either. It's really fascinating to just see what they're doing. Yeah, some of them are super cool, like this end of the world sale. They just like took a current event, about this meteor smashing into Earth that like would have absolutely no effect, but there's a small subset of people that thought it would be the end of the world. So hey, it's an end of the world sale, like, and no return because the world is over, which I thought was hysterical. But then randomly they'll just be like, I don't know, they just do the craziest stuff. So it's just interesting to see their crazy stuff. Actually, they remind me of Starface. Starface is a one that I just very, very recently signed up. So I've only been on their list for like a week or two. So I haven't seen like so much from them in terms of like interesting tests, things like that. But they show
What are they
promise.
selling?
They sell, it's really weird. They sell these acne patches that you like, it's like in the shape of a star and you stick it on your pimple and it sucks out the pus. I know, it sounds really cool, right? But what's fascinating to me is that I've seen this product before as like a very generic product that's sold in Target or whatever. And what they've done is made it into like cool shapes. Like you could buy stars, you could buy Hello Kitties. So like it makes like teenagers want to wear them and like feel it's like a badge of honor and like I'm so cool. I have my star on
Like a
my
tattoo.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that's been interesting, number one, and just like seeing more, like most of my work does not target teenagers, it's more adults. So it's just interesting seeing differences between like adult marketing and teenage marketing. So that's been interesting. And then just like, I don't know, their design is really nice. So that's always cool to see. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. When was the last time you got an email that was like just made you take an action?
Okay, so what's really interesting is that I usually don't take action at all. Like
Well, because you're studying them, like it's your research.
Yeah, maybe it really could be that, but it also could be just the fact that I am like terrible at making decisions, and I always take 20 years to make decisions. So I almost get sold. Like I'll be like reading the sales page, and I'll be like, "This is so good. I should buy this. Like I should really buy this. Let me think about it." And then like I'm gone. Yeah. So I don't take action, even in terms of like self-segmenting. Like if they're saying like, what kind of emails do you want to get? Like, are you a marketer or are you a founder? It's like, no. Like I can't segment myself because like I want to get all the emails. So like, no, I don't want to send them. The only time that I've seen emails like that, where it's like, I almost did it or I actually did do it, is this copywriter. Her name is Bree Weber. And she's, I don't know, she just tests really cool things and does really interesting stuff. And she always gets me. It's so frustrating. But like she'll build up this whole email. So the one that I just responded to, I think it was like last week, Wednesday, let's say. She's running this like a kind of mastermind group type thing called the Cold Pitch Catalyst. So her whole story is that she lost all her clients during the pandemic, in the beginning of the pandemic, and she just started like cold pitching companies and seeing like amazing success and testing different things, testing different cold pitches. And she like turned it into a class, and she had like a whole group and she taught them all, and they're seeing great success. And now she's running a second one in January or something like that.
Okay.
So she sent an email saying, I just got cold pitched. Like it was bound to happen. Of course, someone's going to cold pitch me. I keep talking about cold pitching. Someone's going to cold pitch me. And she's like, want to see it? Hit reply. And I'm like, oh, I have to see it. Part of me was just curious, just because like, it was really interesting to see like, how do you cold pitch someone who's talking about cold pitching? Like how careful and conscientious are you? And also because I had a sneaking suspicion that this person also cold pitched me, which they had. So I just kind of wanted to see. So there was a little like personal like interest there, but also just like the way that she built up the email in terms of like the curiosity was like totally there. Like you needed to at the end of the email.
She walked you into it. Like,
yes. I was like, wait, you didn't give me a link? I have to hit reply? No. How could you do this to me? So she totally got me. I was like, oh, I have to reply. It was so bad. But she also did something really interesting at the end of her launch, where like her first launch for the course, where like you hear this all the time in terms of like telling people to like either be in or be out. Like, are you joining and you're thinking about it and you want my emails, or like you're not interested, opt out. Don't like get overwhelmed with all the launch emails and like just choose, like make a decision, because decision indifference and like not like indecision is like your biggest conversion loss. Like that's where you will lose your people. It's not the people that say no, it's the people that just like don't respond. So I've seen this as like a template a lot of times, But the way she structured hers was like, oh, I should really hit one of these. Like I really should. I didn't, but it got really close. So
it just shows you, like what great copywriting can do, like how it could set it up and
totally. Yes.
make such a difference. I mean, you said, your big win, 64, percent in conversions, like paid conversions. Like,
it's cool
that's staggering. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
Like, you send yourself. What tools do you use to, like in your email building or, testing or even
I don't know. I'm very low key with email. When a client already has their email set up, like I don't get involved. It's like whatever works for you. I obviously have my preferences of like, oh yay, you have intercom? Yes. Okay, awesome. But
so what is intercom? Like that's
yes.
a place to start.
One is intercom. I don't know, the reporting capabilities in intercom are just like the UX is like so friendly and just like it's just so easy to like get your results. And the support's really awesome. And I mean, it's really expensive for small companies. So, it's hard on that end. But yeah, I get excited when my clients have intercom. But yeah, in terms of
is it an email marketing platform?
So it's a combination of a couple different things. It's like everything basically. It's like your support desk and your email marketing and your in-app prompts. So it's so seamless. It's like everything happens in intercom. So you can kind of like really track your engagement and what people are up to. And like, it's just, you get so much data and so much like of the customer journey. So it's really
because
powerful.
It's all in that platform.
Exactly. So there's more like that. There's HubSpot. There's like a million,
Right.
I just happen to really like intercom. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good one. Do you have any favorite VSPs?
So it depends on what your industry is. Like if you're in e-commerce, then Klaviyo is like your like default go-to kind of thing. Although Drip is kind of getting into e-commerce, supposedly they've been positioning themselves as getting into e-commerce. So I haven't actually tried so much e-com for Drip, but supposedly they do. For service providers, ConvertKit works really nicely. ActiveCampaign works really nicely. I personally use ActiveCampaign. I find that it's nice and robust. It has more like testing capabilities than ConvertKit does. So that's why I chose ActiveCampaign. But really, honestly, like a lot of them are fine. And it's really just a matter of making sure that you're fitting into what you need. So like MailChimp can be totally okay for someone who is not doing a lot of segmentation and tagging and like testing. Like if they're just sending out a weekly campaign every week, it's to like one audience, like MailChimp, it's fine, so it's very much about matching your needs. Yeah.
So your ASP for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything? Well, I mentioned 25 subject lines, but anything specific about subject lines besides writing 25 of them? That you want to mention?
So anytime you want to test them, you want to be testing like instead of my way of like, oh, I like both of them. You want to make sure you're testing different types of subject lines. So you like, why are you testing? You want to answer a certain question. So it's basically usually your overall question is, what does my audience respond to? Do they respond to curiosity? Do they respond to questions? Do they respond to just knowing what the offer is, like right up there in the headline, the subject line? So just kind of like making sure you're testing things that answer a question versus just testing two different kinds of subject lines because like, hey, they both sound good. So you want to be able to have a hypothesis before you do it and come to a conclusion after you do it. So that's testing. Anything else? Use formulas. Like they're not cheating. They're awesome. So
what do you mean by that? Can you explain that out?
Yeah, Google subject line formulas and you'll see a bunch of different blog posts with subject line formulas. And they'll be like, quote, that's wrong, here's why. Or the number one reason that outcome equals whatever. Just like they're literally like plug and play kind of things. And they're proven to incite curiosity and to just like play on people's like psychological behavioral triggers and all that kind of stuff. And they do really well. So it's good stuff. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. Any questions? I don't know. You wanna wrap up with, or?
I'm curious about what your favorite ESP is.
I'm loving Klaviyo right now. I've experienced also with ActiveCampaign. I mean, got along with Patrick. Shout out to Patrick from ActiveCampaign. But in terms of the platform itself, it can do everything. I grew up in the email industry doing responses, which is very technical, but you can do anything. So I'm actually an OmniSend partner, and I love them, but they're still in diapers a little bit. They still don't yet have all the functionality that it needs. Comparing them to Klaviyo, it's just like Klaviyo's grown up and they're not there yet.
Yeah.
But they're trying to do the same kind of thing. And they even have a little extra functionality that Klaviyo doesn't have, but they still need to catch up on that basic level.
It's so frustrating that every single one has a pro that the other one doesn't. Why don't they all have the good stuff? When I was testing ConvertKit versus ActiveCampaign for my list, ConvertKit is so much more user-friendly in terms of you could just write the subject line and the pre-header at the same time as you're writing your email. Whereas in ActiveCampaign, you have to write your subject line beforehand or after, in a whole different screen. And it's so annoying.
Right.
It's why would you do that? So, every single one has something that's just super
right. Yeah, it's so true. Because everything, if you're coming from, I think ActiveCampaign, I'm sorry, not ActiveCampaign, but ConvertKit's made for non-techie, bloggers or, so it's super UX friendly. It's the way you think, where the more technical it is, the more it'll be like ActiveCampaign, where you're describing a separate screen for the subject line, and just everything is very segmented. Your audience, your subject line, your this, that, your from name, all this stuff's on different pages. You have to find it all. You have to find it all. Even in MailChimp, you have to find it all. I always say that MailChimp is a great place to start, $15 a month, and grow your list there. But sometimes it gets very expensive as you grow it, and then you want to do more, and you're kind of limited. So from there, I'd say look at Klaviyo, depending on your business, like you're just saying. It really depends on what you need your email marketing to do.
And also knowing how, what kind of growth you're expecting, because it is a huge pain to migrate your list. So if you know that down the line you're going, if your goal is to keep increasing your subscribers and 10 timesing it every month, which is probably not likely.
Billion subscribers in 3 years.
And you're going to want to set up automations down the line and segments and all that kind of thing, then it doesn't make sense to start in MailChimp. But often it does. So kind of just knowing what your goals are and what your plans are. Yeah, definitely. But you reminded me with the diapers, there was one company called SendFox that sounded really interesting. They sounded like they took all the pros of everything and their roadmap was amazing. It sounded incredible. And it was $50 one time, done, you're done. I was so tempted. But I'm they're still they don't have what I need now. And I don't want to wait, and I don't want to do half. So that was frustrating.
Again, the truth is there are so many, and there are so many starting all the time. And I've checked out a bunch of them, and everyone has their own nuance and niche and pain in the butt, and
yes, yes, there are so many. Yes,
nothing is perfect. But I find from all of them, I find Klaviyo to be the most, especially for e-commerce. It's just plug and really play.
But then I was just in a Slack group and someone was complaining about Klaviyo, and she's is this really the end all be all for e-commerce emails? I need something else because I don't like X, I don't like Y, I don't like Z. So it's just interesting to see that even that didn't work for her.
Right. So, yeah, and support for all of them, I find. I mean, actually, of them all, I find MailChimp is actually one of the best in terms of support. When you need to talk to somebody, I find with MailChimp, I usually can talk to someone within a few minutes. Nice. And with Klaviyo, when I needed to speak to somebody, I had to wait 45 minutes till I got through to somebody. And just live chat.
Yeah. Same with ActiveCampaign.
Yeah. With OmniSend, there's always people to talk to, but the answer is often that functionality is not available yet. Yeah.
Oh,
but you're really part of the development process because everything is forwarded to the product team.
Yes. Make you feel a little good about it, right?
Exactly. Really do it. You guys owe me a check. You know?
That's fun. Yep.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. I think the audience really, really appreciated it. And yeah, and the best to you. And you know, happy holidays.
Thank you for having me.
For sure, for sure. We'll just see each other on LinkedIn, and you know, hopefully,
Okay.
maybe in person in the summer if there is some kind of event.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, if there isn't, I'll make one. You know, that's it.
Make a vaccine.
Yeah, well, I have an email marketing event. You know, yeah, I think out of our little niche, I feel like there's not enough knowledge. You know, I know like 5 people that like are full email marketers in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
There are more. I know there are.
I'm sure there are.
We'll pull them out of the woodwork, and we'll talk about email. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Anyway.
Cool stuff.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
It's a pleasure.
Bye. And that finishes our live stream for tonight. Thank you for listening, all the people that were here tonight, and have a great week.